Madime ka lapeng le amala nano la rena le ratehang le keteka mafumadi a rona a dipapadi mona Afrika Borwa le mose muye motle nna lebitso la ka ke Leboha Motswedi, and thank you for joining us for yet another exciting episode mona mo kanaleng ya bobedi, where we talk all things women in sport.
And my name is Valen Kirtley. It's great to be in your company once again as we bring you all of the trailblazers and the game changers when it comes to women's sports in the country. You're welcome to join in the conversation on social media. It's so easy. On Twitter, the handle is @sports at SABC, @Leboha at Valen Kirtley. And just use our hashtag, The Ladies Club, across all social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram.
And today we'll be chatting about women who have shattered the glass ceiling on the track and field. Female athletes all over the world have obviously accomplished a lot in the last century. They have made great strides and are finding those secret passages to the top. These ladies are creating their very own benchmarks, leading a new wave of women who are excelling beyond expectations. Our guest today, a game changer today, has gone that extra mile and has an interesting and very exciting journey to share with us.
I cannot wait to start speaking to our game changer who is in studio, because when we focus in on track and field, it's an important year, being the year before the Olympic Games,
Absolutely.
but also the fact that it's the year of the World Championships, and I can't wait to chat to our game changer. But before we get going with our conversation, we usually like to set the tone with an inspiring quote, and this week's quote is from the wife of former President Tata Nelson Mandela, Graça Machel. She said, "We should be respectful, but we must also have the courage to stop harmful practices that impoverish girls, women, and their communities." Graça is a renowned international advocate for women and children's rights and has been a social and political activist over many decades. She's the third wife of the late former South African President Mandela.
She is also only only woman to ever have actually been the First Lady of two nations. Before her and Mandela tied the knot, Machel was the First Lady of Mozambique when she married President Samora Machel. Absolutely incredible woman who continues to do so much in the communities. But taking it back to the quote and the fact that she was brave enough to say we shouldn't be afraid to let go and stop practices that are usually the traditional practices that are very harmful to our little girls, to our women across the African continent as well. We hold on to so many things that we've been taught by our mothers, our fathers, our ancestors, and those in today's age might not work anymore. And we hold on to those traditions, and sometimes they are harmful and hurtful.
I couldn't agree more with the quote that we need to be respectful of cultures and traditions, but we also need to be respectful and place a higher value on basic human rights. And I think anything that infringes upon that for girls, women, communities, boys, men needs to be relooked at.
We've got an incredible game changer in studio. I'm sure as you look at her, you know exactly who we're talking about, having placed our track Mona Mo Afrika Borwa. All of that coming up right after this.
Welcome back. You're watching The Ladies Club. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're joined in studio now by top track and field athlete Rikenette Steenkamp, and she's our game changer for today. Rikenette is a South African track and field athlete who competes in the 100-meter hurdles. She has always been passionate about sport. She started running her first 60-meter sprint at the age of just 6 years old, and then she fell in love with the sport since then.
But listen to this. Back in 2016, I can't wait for her to tell us the story in detail, doctors discovered an extra bone in her ankle, which required surgery to remove. I'll pause it there and let her explain it exactly the way it happened. Rikenette, welcome to the Ladies Club. Good to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
6-year-old, interested in hurdles?
So yeah, when I ran my first 60 meters, so I was actually I was a sprinter.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved the sport. Ironically, I wasn't a great athlete from a young age.
Really?
I won my first race when I was 16 years old. Can you believe it?
Wow.
But
You were quite persistent then.
Yes, I had an inexplainable passion about the sport. Like, I just loved it from day one.
And then when did you pick up the hurdles?
So I started with hurdles when I was 16. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually quite late. Yeah.
My word. Okay, so how did that actually come about then?
So I always did 100 and 200 and long jump, and then I said one day, I'm going to try the hurdles. Let's just give it a go. And when I did that, I knew this is going to be my event. I believe I have talent in this event. So from there on,
wow.
Yeah.
And let's take it way back then. Do you come from a family that loved sport? Because at 6, that's grade 2. It's not even grade.
That's grade 1, yeah.
Grade 1, and back then, I suppose, because now you have to be 7 to be even in grade 1. How did it all come about that you were interested in athletics and running?
My parents introduced me to all kinds of sport. I did hockey, netball, swimming, you name it. My dad wanted me to be a golfer.
At 6?
Not at 6, but in primary school.
Okay.
So, but I just loved athletics. So nobody in my family really did athletics, which is, I don't know where I come from. But since day one, I loved it and I had a passion for it.
And you actually even represented the province in 2 sports, not only athletics, but also in hockey.
Yes. Yeah.
So then what made you decide that actually, this is my match made in heaven with hurdles. I finally won a race at 16 years old. I've picked up hurdles and I'm going to pursue this.
So in grade 10, I played really well hockey and I also was a good athlete. So it's difficult to decide, but I won nationals that year. In grade 11, and I qualified to go to the World Youth Championships, and that was in July. So the hockey season starts, and I had to choose between a World Championships or play hockey for the school. So, and it went really well. So that's how it happened.
So you went to the World Champs right after starting, taking on hurdles.
A year later, yeah.
And how difficult or easy was that to make the transition from just 100-meter sprints, having started as a 60-meter sprint athlete, to now saying, okay, because the technique is completely different, the muscle building is different, everything that you do with your legs when you're jumping over a hurdle is completely different.
Yeah, I believe the hurdles came a bit more naturally to me.
Wow.
So for me was like, I believe I'll have an edge on this event where I will always be a sprinter, but I might be not an average, but good, but not good enough to make it on that next level. So for me was, okay, this might be something that I can take further.
Just tell us about that trajectory then, once you decided on the hurdles and then you started getting specialized training to get the correct technique, and now all the focus was going on that natural affinity that you had for this event, because then you were quickly at World Championship level and you were doing really well.
Yeah, I believe I was a bit of a late developer, so I was really, really small, grade 8, grade 9. So when I started growing and catching up with my peer group, I started running well. And in grade 11, when I won the nationals, I think that gave me a lot of confidence to say, okay, my dream is to take that over to a senior level. And yeah, when I was in matric, I won my first senior title, which gave me that confidence to take it further.
And how was that? Take me through that first win as a senior.
I will forever remember that day because that was just a significant day in my life. But as I came in as a junior still, so I was still 17 years old. I was the underdog. Nobody even expected me.
Nobody looked at you like, oh, she's just filling in the rows.
Exactly. And I think me and my coach, we decided back then to let's see if I can make the final. That was our goal.
Wow.
So there was no pressure, and I made the final. I came second in the heats, and I made the final.
Did the other girls stop and, okay, she came second, all right?
Okay, so I was in the mix, but I wasn't the favorite at all. So, but then my coach said to me, you always go down in the blocks to win a race. Even though you're not the favorite, you run to win. And that was something that stuck with me, and I'm like, I'm going to run to win. And I can't lose anything. So actually I went out of the blocks and I wasn't in front at all. I was in the mix, and then the last 2 hurdles I just dipped for the line and I took the gold.
Sure, so that was back in 2010.
Yes.
And then what followed was national titles 2013, 2014 and 2017.
Yes.
But how much did that title mean in 2017 considering what happened in 2016? Lebo touched on it in the intro.
Yeah, so I had as she mentioned, an ankle injury, and it was a career-threatening injury. That was, for me, the doctors couldn't give me a guarantee that I will ever run again. I was out of competition for 2 years. I had ankle surgery. I had to learn how to walk again, and all of a sudden, I'm an athlete that runs hurdles. I'm a performer, and now you're in a place where you need to learn how to walk again. So you can only imagine when I started running, and it was a process. It wasn't just something that now I'm healthy, now I'm strong again. So I had to get fit. So when I won that title in 2017, it was sweeter than ever before, but it was also, I saw it as a gift, as a bonus, because if you lost something in life, to get it back, it's just so much sweeter.
Wait, so 2016, the doctors say you've got an extra bone growing.
Yeah, so, okay. So let me take you through it. So 2015, I won the African title in 2014. 2015, I thought, okay, we're going to fly high. And I started struggling, having severe pain in my ankle. And nobody could tell me what was wrong. I went
even with all the x-rays, nothing.
Physiotherapist, nobody could give me a diagnosis. So I think the whole year, 2015, was a difficult year for me because a lot of frustration, a lot of doubt. Can't train, 60%, not good enough. So only in 2016, I went to a foot specialist and he gave me a diagnosis. We did a simple x-ray, you're talking about an x-ray, and he said, like, listen, there's a piece of bone, an extra bone in your ankle that's in the way. And if it
that's what's causing the problem.
It's causing a problem. I can't do the rehab training. It's not going to go away. It's not something you can manage. It's something that you have to remove.
Wow.
So I had no choice but to do the surgery, and hopefully it will be better afterwards. So I went through that procedure, and it was a long process after that.
That is incredibly scary. What was it like the night before the operation? Because you're going for this operation, and you can walk, but you can't compete without pain. However, you're going to go for an operation and you're not sure what's going to happen afterwards. And your doctors have told you you're going to have to relearn to walk.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions that goes through your mind, and nobody can give you that answer. The doctor can't tell you for sure that I'm going to guarantee you're going to be stronger afterwards. Like, listen, this is my opinion. I'm going to help you as far as I can, but you have to go. So I had to take a step of faith, and I did, and I'm so glad that I did that.
We're going to continue our conversation with the Game Changer. Remember, you can get involved on social media. Hashtag The Ladies Club. We're back after this.
Welcome back into Buhila Nano Larnale Ratahang La, the Ladies Club Mutleritola Peleka Trailblazer Ronaya Jueno, who is a very exciting former track and field sprinter. Yvette de Klerk. She was, of course, the dominant female sprint athlete Munama Africa Borwa in the 80s, winning the 100 meters, 200 meters doubles at the national championships 10 years running. 1982, 1999. And she was really incredible.
Absolutely. She also took 3 South African titles in the 400 meters. These included championship records of 11.06 seconds for the 100 meters and 22.36 seconds for the 200 meters. She didn't, however, get to compete internationally at the peak of her career as a result of the sporting boycott of South Africa during the apartheid era.
Sure, incredible athlete she was. I mean, seeing some of the visuals coming through here in our studio, what goes through your mind? Because you also are now part of the young athletes that have broken records that were set by our very first female track athletes in yesteryears.
Yeah, when I look at this, it really gives me goosebumps because that are some of like our heroes.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just amazing to see.
So we chatted a little bit before the break about your injury in 2016, having to relearn to walk, and just how sweet that victory was at the national championships in the 100-meter hurdles in 2017. Then comes 2018, and then you go and break the national record. Not once, but twice. That's incredible.
Yeah. I think that was one of the reasons I didn't stop, because I believe if you feel there's more potential inside of you, it's like, I can't stop because I believe there's more in me. And yeah, so I really worked hard for 7 years. I've been dreaming about the national record. This is something that is just made for me almost. And in 2018, I had the privilege to build a season upon a season and to break the national record.
I mean, this record was set, we're talking about Corrie Ann Botha's record that was set in 1998. Yes. Here you come 2018, and with an incredible time, your eyes on the prize, just knowing that you had done it. What went through your mind? Just running that time, having had visualized it before, saying, this is what I'm going to do. What came to your mind?
I think, you know, 2017 was like the comeback year. And I came so close so many times, and everybody asked me, like, when are you going to do it? Like, I also don't know. I'm not a genie or something, you know. So I just believe that it's in me. And when the right time comes and the right race and the right conditions and everything comes together, it will happen. And that day in the heats, I actually, when I broke the record the second time, I ran such a fast time. I ran 12:70, but the wind was illegal.
Sure.
But I just went out in the final. I said to myself, just do the same thing. Don't focus on the time or the outcome. Just do what you love doing as fast as you can. And that moment when it comes together, there isn't a feeling like that. I can't explain it.
I'm even getting goosebumps. Sure.
And when you crossed that finish line, what did you feel like?
When I crossed the finish line, I just feel like I've got it. I knew it. And it is just a relief, but also an excitement and a thankfulness, a gratefulness that I experienced.
Rikenette, how does an athlete celebrate breaking a record that was set in 1998? I've never asked anyone that. How do you guys celebrate? How did you celebrate?
Well, I celebrated when I came back to South Africa.
Yeah.
I flew back the next day, so I took my parents out for a meal, and I had a glass of red wine because I enjoy my red wine. So that's how I celebrated.
So the night before, I mean, is it sinking in? Are you thinking, okay, I need to fly? What's going through your mind?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I did not sleep the night afterwards.
I knew it.
I did not sleep. No, it went through my mind over and over and over again. Yeah.
So what were you doing? Just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, that just happened. Oh my God. What?
Yeah. It's like you think about it and you go through it again. You run again.
And the adrenaline just goes up again.
I mean, this is something that you had been visualizing for 7 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was like a climax after 7 years of waiting. You finally get this thing that you've been thinking about.
Yeah. It's amazing when things come together. And as I said earlier, especially if you lost something, there was a time where I felt like I might not run again. So when it comes, like it's a bonus. It's like there were no guarantee that I would get this, but I did, and I felt a sense of pride. Like, I'm proud of myself. This was a journey. I was brave. I had reasons to stop, but I didn't. And even though I didn't have the perfect journey, I can say that I didn't give up.
Who was your biggest pillar of strength through that difficult time?
I would say my parents. I have amazing parents that always seek the positive out of any situation. And they always say to me, Ricky, you have a choice whether you want to allow this situation to make you stronger, or do you want to fight against it and say, this is not fair, why am I born with an extra bone in my ankle, because it's a valid question. But they said, you have a choice now, whether you want to allow this to shape you and to prepare you for what's your calling, basically, and what's prepared for you.
Now, let's also talk about Rikenette off the track. You're also a student.
Yes.
You've just completed a master's.
Yes.
You've done your honors, your master's, and it was titled An Exploration of Factors Contributing to Gender Inequality in Athletics Participation and Leadership. I know you're also considering your PhD, but tell me about that topic as a discussion point.
Sport is very close to my heart, and women's sport is very close to my heart. So I decided a few years back, while I'm running, I want to build and study as well and build a career for me off the track. So I started, I identified a problem in South Africa, that there's a need for women's sport athletes to compete, to participate in athletics in South Africa. There's a lack of women participating and a lack of women leadership in South Africa. And my study basically confirmed that, my hypothesis basically.
And what did you find were the main contributing factors to that current scenario that we see?
So basically, first of all, is cultural reasons. And then secondly, the societal expectations on women. And then third of all is the women, like our physiological changes, biological changes that we have, it's a challenge. It's different from men. They don't go through that changing process, and that's the time where women needs the support.
What was your final conclusion? Because you've identified the problems, the solutions in perhaps getting more incredible women in leadership positions, women in sports being active in athletics?
The number one suggestion from all my interviews came that the woman needs more support. And the other thing is we need more role models, and the role models and the leadership that we have, we need to embrace them. We need to embrace the little achievements that not only the Olympic gold medals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my national record, for example, is a great milestone for South African sport, for South African athletics. It's not an Olympic medal, but I've broken a 20-year-old record, and we need to embrace those victories that women achieve in our country.
And do you have any pre-race rituals that you go through in big races, small or big?
Yeah, so something just random and interesting. I always have a banana before I have a race. It's
just before? How long before?
No. Like 20 minutes before I start warming up. So that's just a ritual. I need a banana.
If there's no bananas?
If there's no bananas, then I'll have to get over it. Yeah, so yeah. But
so is that the only ritual? You don't listen to anything in particular? Music?
I do have a confession actually that I listen to. A voice recording that I speak to myself.
Wow.
So that's something that I started back when I had the injury. So I had to remind myself who I believe I am.
Wow.
And what the potential is inside of me. So I listen to that, and every year and for every season that changes.
Yes, of course.
What I feel in my heart for this season and for this time. So I always listen to that when I warm up as well.
What is the one thing that you would like to achieve before saying, you know what, I've reached my potential now?
Olympic finalist.
Okay.
Yeah, medalist. Let's dream big. Yeah. So,
why not?
Yeah.
And an advice to young girls, what would it be?
You know, when you go through challenges and difficult times, if you feel like you have an imperfect journey and you go through struggles, allow it to make you stronger, allow it to shape your life, and to know that in those difficult times, it's always for a purpose and a meaning. It's not for nothing. If I look back on my journey, I've gained so much. I've gained gratitude. I've gained relationships, people that came along my path. I've gained compassion for people going through difficult times. And I wouldn't have been the person and the athlete that I am today if it weren't for that. So many times the difficult things, they happen for a reason, and they make us stronger.
I know we've run out of time, but I also just want to find out where to. After this, what are you training for? Where can our South Africans look out for you?
World Champs this year, that's the main goal, to qualify and to go to World Championships.
And then Olympics.
And then Olympics, of course.
Thank you so much for joining us in studio. You have been absolutely incredible. I am so totally stealing that voice note thing. I love it. I absolutely fell in love with it.
Rikenette, thank you so much, and all the best of luck with the preparations for Worlds, and then, of course, on to Tokyo 2020.
Thank you so much, guys.
And that's all the time we have for you this week. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. You're obviously welcome to send us your ideas on our trailblazers, stories, and women in sports, even the game changers that continue to inspire you.
We'd love to hear what you have to say. You can continue the conversation on social media. And until we meet again, remember that greatness is never ever given. It's always earned. From myself, Ellen Kirtley, and the rest of the Ladies Club team, goodbye.